because there is more in you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. That is the Dr. Elaine. Okay. So put some respect on her name, y'all. Put some respect on her name. And next up, we have my girl, my sister, my church partner. I miss our space. We had our own special space. Okay. From day one. Just amazing. And I'm thankful that God connects us with the right people at the right time. And she is none other than the coach, Pashay Felton. Come on and greet the people on tonight.
Hello out there, should I say, in the YouTube streets. Hello, hello. Thank you, Lady Dawn, my sister, for having us on to even speak about Harlem Girls and giving us a platform to share what it is that we do. Both of these ladies are my sisters. It's divine connection. It just is what it is. So we are actually sisters. We're family. That's all I have.
Well, all right. And that's the night, Saints. They are good to go. I love being a part of Harlem Girls Inc. It came at a time where I've written all my life, but I did not take the time to really pursue it and push. I was just like, oh, nobody really wants to hear what I have to say, but I know somebody wants to hear what I have to say. But God has a way; His timing is perfect. And when I was approached about the book project, the very first one that I did not hesitate. I jumped on it. Now I'm going to tell you the truth, and then I want them to share. Okay. Because along the journey, I tried to quit about 6,449 and a half times. I really did. I really did. I was like, I can't do this. I'm finished. I'm done. Like, well, we're gonna end this chapter at this word right here. And it was only like the second word I wrote. And you know, I made Tache my responsible adult. It was good. It was a good thing because I needed somebody who wasn't gonna pacify me. I'm sweet, but I'm very stubborn. So you can't be but so nice and so gentle. I got holy but hood. So you gotta know when to switch. You gotta know when to code switch with me. And Pache was the person for the job. She was absolutely on the job because she would hear me out in my moment and she said, okay. And I understand. Yes. Yeah. I feel you. I've been there. I've been there. And she said, okay, all right. You finished? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay, so you know what? You take an extra day, and by Friday, you send me your chapter. By Friday. And I'd be like, but no, because I said I wasn't anymore. She said, no, I heard you. She said, yeah, but you're gonna finish this. And that's what you need in your life is people who are willing to push you beyond yourself. In the sense of we get stuck in places at times where we don't want to go on because we are afraid of taking that next step of breaking that mold, of coming out of our shells, of actually letting our voices be heard, actually letting your success speak and lead. We become so dismayed by the other things that are going on in the world and just the pressures of life, that we need somebody who is not going to give up on you, but they're able to understand where you are, but not let you stay there. And that's exactly what Pache did for me. And Dr. Elaine and we have developed our own special connection. Sometimes I joke, but this is for real, for real. This is the danger of being a part of Harlem Girls is that, we're real, we're real, down to earth women, but we are spiritual, we are connected, and we have a heart for God. Now that's good, but I'm gonna tell y'all the secret, and don't tell Dr. Elaine that I said this. This is between us, y'all. God gets me with her when I see my phone ring in the early morning. Okay. Y'all been jacked up before you even get out the door. Well, God doesn't let me escape on the spiritual side no more than he does on the natural side. So these two are like they're my binders. They keep me in the middle where I belong, and I'm so grateful for them. So I want you ladies to just share a little bit about how Harlem Girls came to be and how people can be a part or whatever you want to share, however you want to introduce it for those who don't know.
Want to take it?
All right, you can. Oh,
Harlem Girls was birthed as we were actually sitting in Dr. Elaine's living room having a regular conversation. And we started reflecting on our youth. And you know how you have those conversations, how much further in life would I be if I was taught this? And we start talking about the school systems we went to and how Harlem, underserved community, we didn't get the best schooling, we had the worst books, that sort of thing. And we just started talking. I was like, you know what, we're gonna start a company. And we just started. And Elaine actually, Dr. Sanders actually had an idea for t-shirts, and we started with that. But the thing, let me back up. It's funny because we both were born and raised in Harlem. Harlem is all of this big. However, never encountered one another into
wow.
what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
6 years.
About 6 years ago through a mutual friend. And it was a divine connection, and we've been together ever since then. Two totally separate worlds, two totally different personalities. But as you said, God, there's an appointed time for everything. And the appointed time and the divine time for us to meet was 6 years ago. And it was birthed out of, how can we give back to Harlem? How can we give people something that they never thought they would have before? Nobody comes to Harlem or underserved communities saying you can become an author. It's usually go to school, get a good job so you can take care of your family. Not what's your purpose, or you can become an author or work behind the scenes as a publisher. So I'll let you
Just
chime
to
in.
in agreement with what Pache's talking about is also that thing. Could any good thing come out of Jerusalem, right? Could any good thing come out of Harlem? And seeing, even though we were sitting in our living room, we were sitting there as, people would say, oh, you're pretty successful in what you're doing. But we knew there's still more, right? There's still more. We working for someone, but we still had other ideas, other aspirations, other goals. And for us to come together and say, wait a minute, the odds were against us. We weren't even supposed to be here, meaning we weren't supposed to. If we graduated high school, that's great. But no, we actually graduated from college and actually went out and, purchased homes or whatever that thing is. That was not the statistics we were supposed to be a part of from the positive aspect. And what we thought was, hey, we want other women or people in general, but especially, young women and older women, to say, you can do it. There's more in you, and your environment, although it plays a part, it doesn't limit your mental ability and your spiritual ability. When God has stepped into your life, he makes the impossible possible.
That is so good and so true, and hopefully, people are hearing what you're saying and understanding that no matter what situation you're in, whatever your beginning is, it's just that. It's just your beginning. You don't have to succumb to your surroundings. You have the opportunity and the ability every single day to take steps to go in whatever direction it is that you want to go, and when you said, if you made it out, if you graduated, that if, I don't know why, but it just hit me a little differently today, because if it's it's such a big word. It's full of so much possibility. And we tend to yield to the negative side of the if. But it's like, if you can just think yourself out of the situation, if you can just see yourself in the next space, maybe, you don't have to see yourself all the way in the mansion yet. But you know what? Maybe if you can just see yourself off the block. Sometimes you have to see yourself out of the McDonald's job and maybe to the Macy's job. It's one step at a time. And what I love about you ladies, and becoming my sisters, that you encourage me in my if, because I know I struggled, going through college, and then I waited, and then I stopped going because I started working. When you're young and the money starts getting good to you, like, okay, I can go learn later. But this money is kind of in the pocket because it's, causing me to do some things. And by the time I decided to go back to school, I had my son, and he was a baby. So, it was always something else that was in the way. And I didn't think that I was going to ever get back to that place of going back to school. But connecting with you ladies, each one of you having your own successes, each one of you being highly educated, it just reminded me and it showed me my if. Every time I see you guys, I remember that if I can just get myself back in this position, you make the if possible for me. You know, you really, really do. And it encourages me that, you know what, Dawn, keep going. Like, if I can just get one class in, you know, guess what? That's one class closer to achieving my goals. So I absolutely commend you. I honor y'all so very much. I do, I do, I do. And I'm so
I just
grateful to be a
I
part.
wanted to say first, thank you for saying that. That totally means a lot. And what I want to say to what we just all spoke about is that in society we have this thing where we measure success according to society, what society deems successful.
Mhm.
We must take that and have our own measure of success. Me dropping out of high school and going back to college for a BA and then getting two masters, that's successful for
Come
me.
on now.
Starting our own business, that's successful for me. Do we make millions and millions of dollars? Absolutely not. But again,
Not
success
yet.
we're
Wait a
not
minute. Hold on. Not yet.
not
Ladies,
yet. Yeah,
all
not
about
yet. We're not
it's
yet.
coming. It's coming. It's
However,
stored up for you.
my point is we are successful in our own vein, in our own lane, in sense of what we wanted to do, what we started out to do. And that is changing people's lives, helping them to see the best versions of themselves. So I think if we don't get so caught up in what society deems successful, like you
Mhm.
said, going to McDonald's, if you come from a family that's never worked and you the first person with a job, you're successful.
The honest job.
If everybody in your family never completed school and you're the first, you're successful. So I think if we take those little steps, those little milestones, and keep growing from there, then you'll see how far you've come. But measure your success according to what you see yourself doing or where you want to see yourself at, not what the world says and not what anybody else puts on you.
And if I can just add to that,
Hmm.
I would also say it's not about competition, it's about collaboration. And many times people are measuring success to the person next to them, opposed to saying, no, only person I'm in competition with is the person I see in the mirror to be a better version of me. I can
Come on.
learn and glean from my sisters or brothers, right? But I'm not in competition. And when you move at your pace in your lane, there is a joy when you can celebrate with other people. You can then say to them, I'm happy for your success because as you grow, I grow and I get the chance to see it in real time in front of me, someone I can feel, touch, and have a conversation with. It's like that African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you bring somebody with you
Mm.
because you need someone to go with you on this journey, whatever it looks like, called life. That's not, you don't have to look over your shoulder and say, is this person competing with me versus this person is here to help and uplift me in my areas and where I'm weak. One of the things I think works really well for Pache and myself is the fact that we are, I say we are opposites, but we're also the same. And our strengths and our weaknesses actually complement one another, and we don't compete against each other for whatever it is. And there's areas I'm like, that's not my thing, that's hers, and she is phenomenal at that thing. And there's things that I'm like, okay, I guess that's where I fit in, and I think when you understand who you are and you're not trying to be all things to all people, but you're trying to perfect who you are in your lane and then you can pass the ball to the teammate and say, this is the area that you do really well, and I celebrate you in the process of that. Then that's what makes the collaboration great. That's what makes the sisterhood, or other people see it. So if we as the founders didn't have that, we could not then let that spill over into the other people that come into the circle.
And also outside of that, besides Harlem Girls, we even support each other in different endeavors. Like we are each other's biggest cheerleaders. Like, hey, go ahead, what you did? Oh, that's great. We still, so even outside of Harlem Girls, it's still, how can I support you? How can I support you? What do you need done? Do you need me to do this? Do you need me to do that? So it's not just in Harlem Girls. This is a lifestyle that we actually live together, that we're on this life journey with. And it's like, okay, you see this one, you see that one, you see this one, you see that one. And the funniest thing, when we started vending, the first year we started Harlem Girls, they was like, well, how long y'all known each other? It's like 6 months. They was like, wait, what? We was like, it's just a divine connection, because that's how well we gel. And something Dr. Sanders said, staying in your lane is very important. Knowing your strengths and knowing your weakness. Just like she said, she'd be like, well, so we gonna do this now. I'll be like, okay, and you're doing that, right? Because that's not what I do. That's what you do. You gonna handle that part. I'm gonna do this part. And again, that's what makes it work. And there's no competition. I can easily, and I told her, I said, you know what? God told me I'm your Jonathan. There's no jealousy. I don't mind pushing her to the top, God, because I know what's in her. I know what she's capable of. I see where God is taking her. So if it's my role to undergird her to get her there, I don't have a problem with that. So again, there's no jealousy, there's no envy. We celebrate each other. And I think that's very important, because a lot of times women can become very catty, not knowing that at the end of the day, what God has for you is for you. He said, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. It didn't say us, it said you.
Oh, all right.
Make
And
that
bring you to
personal.
your expected end. And that's
Come
Right,
on, y'all better come on tag team
right.
tonight.
end. And we don't get there by ourselves. And sometimes what we always think is like, all I need is God. Well, yeah and no, because he has to put people in place to help catapult you to where he's taking you. And it
Mhm.
teaches us, that's, and I know this is about Harlem Girls, but it's like the cross,
Oh,
it is up and down and across. It's teaching you how to relate to him, and then how to relate to people. And at the middle of that cross, he is the center. So anything that we do, it is always to glorify God. I don't care if it's write the book. Our books are about empowerment. Our books are about how can we help people. It may be some of the things that we had to deal with. In our first book that we did together, I talked about um, my challenges or my steps of getting through a divorce. And to be able to write that and be free and say, this is my story. And but not just this is my story. So it wasn't about bashing. It was how God took me from one place to the next place, that I am like, oh my gosh, you are a better version of you, because you allow God to let you do the work, and acknowledge where you were hurt, acknowledge where you were grieving, acknowledge, but you didn't stay there. And God, because you, even in it all, God said, I'm still showing you, and I'm taking you step by step, like I said, precept upon precept, line upon line. He's showing where I want to take you, and it's not for naught, right? Everything, and Pastor says this often, everything we go through, right, there is not wasted. And when I know not a moment of my life is wasted, and even as we collaborate with other people, that's a part of our divine assignment. So God didn't just bring us together to laugh and joke. He brought us together for a bigger purpose, because if we didn't come together, then Dawn, that lady D, it wouldn't be that, and it wouldn't be this, and it wouldn't be that. So when you understand who you are, and most importantly whose you are, you have a better sense of, why am I here? And even when you want to cry, you can smile because you say, trouble don't last always.
Y'all doing good on tonight. Listen, I'm about to get you some I'm about to bring you juice. I'm about to bring you towel. I'm about to take up the offering and find your adjectives. This is talking good on tonight. All of this is what's encompassed in Harlem Girls. And people need to hear this because they need to understand what the core, what the root, and what the passion behind it is about. It's not just an ordinary group of women that are coming together just to be together. I do believe it is absolutely divine connection at the right time, and God does all things well. Um, and what is being shared on tonight is encouraging to other people because there's somebody else that needs to see what you are doing individually and what we are doing collectively because they may be, it might be burning in them that, what, I want to write and I want to own my own publishing company and I want to do, but because I've never seen it before, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to begin. I don't know. We measure our successes, like you said, by society, but the truth of the matter when it comes to success is that you're seeing people at their peak. You don't get to see them when they're in the seed form. You don't get to see that.
Right.
No. So we're comparing our beginning to their ending in a very unbalanced and way. Like that should be your end goal, yes. But you got to remember, everybody started somewhere, and even the Bible said, don't despise the small beginning. So, yeah, maybe you have to start out with a pamphlet, or maybe you just have to start out
Right.
posting one story at a time on your news feed, build up your audience. But, it's a place for you to start. So as these ladies are sharing from the wealth of their experience and their knowledge, it is to encourage someone else to know whatever your path is that you can succeed. You just need to get on the other side of the if. I love what you said, and I am a witness to it about the collaboration that goes on here. I have a lot of acquaintances, I'll say, because I can't call everybody friend no more. But I know a lot of people, and there is a lot of competition in all of the fields that we're in. We're supposed to be a team, but are we a team of competitors or are we a team of collaborators? It's like, what are we gonna do? Who are we gonna be? And one thing I can definitely say with Harlem Girls is that it is all collaboration. Literally, there is no competition. Like, there's no sense of it. There's not even a smidge, a size of mustard seed, a dust mite size. It's just not. And that's the most amazing thing, that we can sit and cheer for one another, whether you wrote in a particular book or not. When books are published that I didn't get to write in, what they did, the only one that I didn't write in because I was supposed to, but life was life. But I was cheering for the book as if, as if my name was on it that time. Why? Because when, when you become a part of Harlem Girls, it's like when you see the Harlem Girls signal go up, you just like hands up. That's what we do. And I love that about this group of women. And as you see, it's not just about writing. It is really about life, and everybody is sharing. We do become a part of each other's lives, our day to day. If you need a shoulder to cry on, if you need a listening ear, if you need that, listen, I'm having a moment, you need somebody to snap you back, you need somebody to hold your purse or your ponytail, whatever it is that you need.
Right.
Whatever it is that you need help, there's somebody in this group that's gonna hold it for you. And at the end, we all come out on top. Sometimes we need people to pull us back, like, no, stay in your grace, stay in your grace, and I love that because it's hard to find out here in these streets. I want to read a couple of comments. The psalmist's voice, Pastor Chris says, success is in the divine collaboration. Let's go. And he's going to be a part of the men's lounge, actually, that will be coming up very soon. I'm sorry, y'all. My mouse is acting like it's special. All right, and then I'm gonna put my glasses on because y'all know me. Oh, I'm young, so I'm not even gonna play with it. And welcome, Landon. I'm gonna ask y'all to do our triple. You know, we do like, subscribe, and share here. Invite somebody into this encouraging conversation. Landon Price says, reason I love how Coach Prime approaches students, athletes at HBCU. We gonna prepare you for your purpose and be good human. It's not all about the money.
Right.
Amen. Money only lasts but for so long. But when you can teach someone how to tap into their purpose, they will be able to live life lifetime. So thank you for that, Landon Price. Pastor Rosa Griffin, that's my mama, y'all, for real. She birthed me for real. I really came from her, like for real. I've known her a long time. Hi, mom. She says, y'all know I'm gonna be me. Collaboration is much more productive than competition unless we are competing with ourselves to do better than our last best. Oh, well, go ahead, mom. Say on, ma'am.
Yes.
Say on. And I'm really proud of my mom too because she became an author with Harlem Girls.
Yes,
I,
she did.
yes, she did.
Yes, she
Mom,
did.
oh mom, come on, y'all know her as Pastor Rosa, but I call her mom. And then we have the psalmist voice again who says that part. He is agreeing with everything that has been said. That part. You see some key points so far in our conversation on tonight. And again, I'm so excited to be able to here and chat with my lady. Um, and so I want us to share some of the projects that have been produced through Harlem Girls. There's about, I want to say 8 books now. I think, am I right? Is it 8?
8 or 7.
7? Okay. I'm not gonna, I
Seven.
feel the 8th one coming. It must be it's coming.
Seven,
Feel
eight.
it in the spirit, my shando. Feel it coming. It's right. But I want to ask you ladies to share a little bit about the books that have been written. So I'm going to try to name them in their order, and whichever you want to share from it, please do. But the first book that you wrote, and I remember, I don't know if I remember it, it might not have been that one, but it's Letting Go, Moving from Broken to Beautiful. Tell us about that book and how it came about.
Uh, it
Pastor, I
basically,
don't know why you acting like you don't know.
Oh,
right.
no.
She's
Go ahead.
normally the
She
talker.
told you, right? She told you, everybody just talked about being in our lane.
Uh, right. This is your lane. You like
Oh,
you're the talker.
well, the first book, Moving Forward from Broken to Beautiful, that was our first book. And if we back up, that's when we were talking about being born and raised in Harlem, two separate lives, and came together later. That's what that book is about. Dr. Sanders talked about divorce, being a single mom with 3 kids. My I was moving from the broken space of feeling abandoned because my father was murdered the first day I was born. So we come from those personal places, become very vulnerable, and the basis of the books that we write are self-help books. We don't write just to write. We write in hopes that our story will empower someone else to say, hey, I've been through that. Oh, they made it through that. Somebody like me made it through that. Oh, I can make it through that as well. So though that's the reason for the books that we write. They're all how-to books. So that's moving forward from broken to beautiful.
That is awesome and amazing. And again, these ladies, we are sharing from our experience. I like to say, well, my new thing is I'm not an expert. I just have experience. I'm just trying to tell you my story. So that because someone needs to know and hear it. Because if I'm feeling a certain way or thinking a certain way, I know there's someone else that will be in that same mindset who may not have the courage to speak up, to ask, or to let their voice be heard behind it. Before we get to the next book, there's a question. The Psalmist Voice, Pastor Chris says, can a man be
Absolutely.
published by
Yes,
you?
yes, and yes.
And yes.
And yes,
But-
yes, Pastor Chris,
and
and yes.
All of those yeses.
to piggyback on something you just said, Lady Dawn, you're expert on your life. You're expert in your field. You're expert in your pain. And we're all experts in our truth and our experiences. And that's the places that we write from. So we're not talking about somebody else's story. We're talking about our own stories. And like I shared with you, and we share with all authors, when you write, don't put anything in the book you don't want anybody to know because it's out there. Writing puts you in a vulnerable space. It puts you in a place of transparency. And if you don't want anybody to know that, don't write it. But yeah, you are expert in your area. You're expert on your pain. You're expert on your experience.
Oh yes, I have the bill and stitches and
Yeah,
got all that certified,
right.
sealed, and all that. But the beautiful thing about that, being expert in my own pain, or for all of us, the beautiful thing I believe also is just to kind of put the sweet spot on that statement is that you then become an expert in your healing and in your
Oh,
recovery.
yes.
And that's the beautiful thing. So you have a full story that you can tell, which is amazing. So, yes, Pastor Chris, and to those who may also want to know, just because the company is Harlem Girls, it is not just for women. You have a story to tell, you want to write, you want to share. I recommend a lot of people. Every time someone comes to me and says, I want to write, or I'm not this, or I have a story I want to tell. I was like, listen, what really? Okay, what you want to do? What you want to, okay, because all right, well, I'm gonna hook you up. I'm saying, let me introduce you to the Harlem Girls. Let me get you on a Zoom or something, because everyone's
Mhm.
story has to be told. Everyone is not no one is for everyone, but everyone is for someone. So your
Right.
voice needs to be heard in its own way. And what I love about Harlem Girls is that, as Coach Pache said, don't put anything out there that you don't want to be told or shared, but your voice is not going to be changed. What you put on paper, they're not going to tell you how to say what your experience or what your feelings are. No one alters, your voice, because it's your experience, and they leave it just like that because somebody needs to hear it that way. Pastor Chris says, amen. I'm not a writer, but I have the book in my head, just need a writer to place it. You in the right place, sir.
You just got to get it out. And yeah, we've tried to get men to write a couple of times. We had a couple of top one title was This Deck Was Stacked. Right. And that was one, and we wanted men to talk about their experience if they were in the street, their transition to what they're doing now, legally, and how their lives have changed to help young men grow up and help young boys see, okay, I don't have to live this way. I may start it out here, but however, I can make it out. So absolutely.
And he says it's
Years in the
been
making.
years
Okay.
in the making.
Right, and I would also say, whatever his story is, or anyone's story, we're willing to come alongside of you to make sure that your voice is heard with whatever the thought that you have in your head to put it on paper, right? Because when it's in our head, it's a dream. But when we start to write it down, we see the vision, and it then manifests itself, and it gives you power. It actually empowers you because now you can own your story. My story. So if people want to know more about me, you got to buy the book.
All of them. It's
Right.
different
If
versions.
you want to know about different aspects of me,
Correct.
but so now instead of me just telling you my story, my book, you can sit with it and say, "Oh, okay, never looked at it from this perspective," or or I disagree with that, and that's still okay as well, right? Because my journey may be different from the next person's journey. And I just wanted to say this as someone was talking about the pain. I wrote down, I may not be responsible for my pain, but I'm responsible for my recovery.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's what it is when you figure out how to recover, because you tell us what to do, right? We had something, but if we don't follow the instructions, then we're not being good stewards of our own recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And amen. And that's a Selah. Yeah, you have to participate in your recovery. You have to want to recover, and have to want to, because sometimes we get more attention being the victim than we do,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it's not my turn to preach, so I'm not gonna touch on that. I'm just saying, but I'm just putting it out there. Sometimes we get a little bit more attention being the victim, so we lay in that longer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I said something today. I was on in a different room in Clubhouse, and I was sharing with them how we got on the point of brokenness and why people remain broken. And one thing I mentioned was that healing hurts. And a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
times healing hurts. And I said, that's another book that God put in me that I've been piecing together slowly. Because even as I'm on my journey of continued healing, because healing is continual. And you're only as healed as the amount of weight that your wound can bear. And we're all still healing from whatever hurt us, but it's healing hurts, and sometimes the healing hurts more than the actual break does, because we have to go back to the place of the break and then fix everything from the inside out so that the wound fully closes.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to get ourselves to that place of recovery and wanting to recover. And this is one of the beautiful things I feel about the books that we do write and that we share, because we are sharing our real stories, things that we've really lived. And it's always ends from the place of our victory. We don't leave it in the place of this is what happened, this is what I went through, and this is how I feel. It always ends with, and this is where I am now. And that's
It,
an encouraging piece for people to see that there is a and now, to whatever they're going through. So, Dr. Elaine, if y'all don't want to share anything else.
yeah, I
I
wanted
just
to.
I just said one thing I wanted to say, and that word recovery just came
Mhm.
up, and it dropped in my spirit. In the recovery, God will cover you. So
Come
as you're
on.
recovering, sometimes we're recovering, people come and keep poking and peeling that scab back and triggering you to go back to that space. However, in that recovery, God will cover you.
That's
That's
good.
good. And I was going to say, we have to think about it. You can either hurt to hurt or hurt to heal. Either way, it's going to hurt. So
Mm,
you might as well
Right.
get on the other side of
Hurt
it
is hurt.
and
Yes.
heal and be able to help someone else that is in that process. So it goes back to that point. Nothing's wasted. And I think if we look at our lives, and I don't care who it is, if you look at your life and say, everything that I went through, even the stuff that I caused, God turned it around still for
yeah.
my good, even in my
Mm-hmm.
foolishness. So when that part happens, and if we look through that lens, then I can see every step of the way, going to your point, God covered me, even in
Hmm.
my foolishness, even when I didn't even know I needed to heal.
My
He would
God.
Girl,
pull
I'll get up and start
me.
running around. We're not going to even do this tonight.
You see what I'm
I'm
saying? You
about
see
to
what I'm
have a
saying?
quit. I'm about
I
to have
thought
a
it was just
quickening,
me.
quickening in my spirit now. Ho ho! Hey
I
hey!
thought it was
Glory,
just me. I was getting ready to
glory.
say, y'all gonna make me run tonight. Y'all gonna make me take a lap in this
Hey
dining room. Don't play
hey
with me.
hey hey!
But it's important. It's an important piece. And I think, you know, if I honestly know, and I can say this sincerely, my life is not my own, right?
Mhm.
And it was designed before, and I'm walking out. So there is an end. It goes back to that expected end. He
Mhm.
knows exactly. God wasn't surprised when you did it. God wasn't surprised when it happened. We were surprised, but God wasn't. And if
Right.
I can rest in knowing he has me. So even when I feel like it's the most devastating thing that ever happened in my life, I keep in the forefront of my heart and in my head, it's going to work for my good. It doesn't feel good, but it's going to work for my good.
See, y'all done started. We didn't have church on here
And then
tonight.
the
I'm
crazy thing is knowing all of that through the pain and everything that, like we said, we've caused, some things we had to go through. Everything is not the devil. God allows some things to get us to the place where he wants us to be. So even within that, knowing that he's covering us, knowing that he's watching over us, it helps us to increase our faith. It helps us to learn how to lean and depend on him more and more. Right. And then to the point now is I think all of us, I can say at this point, we like Teflon. Like, what? Oh, that's what you got? I was just telling Dr. Sanders, I said when I get up in the morning, I'll be like, I'm up. What's up?
Right, what we
What
doing
we
today?
this say what you this ain't what you want. I'm up. My feet have hit the floor. The day is about to start. This is not what you want to do.
Right, and not so
So
early.
absolutely. And I can
Don't.
only get to that point because of recovery and him covering me in the recovery, right? And having sisters like your both of you in my space to say, hey, today is not a good day. We need those people in our lives where we can just take the mask off. It's no, every day is not a good day. No, this is how I'm feeling right now. No. Okay, have your day. All right. Okay. And then what we doing later? What we're doing tomorrow. So sisterhood is so important. And I think that's one thing that has grown out of Harlem Girls is a sisterhood. As you know, we go on trips together. It's like, hey, I'm partying over here. Let's get together and do this. It really becomes a sisterhood where we just laugh and have fun and
And if
enjoy each other's company.
and I would say, I think even to your point of something you said, we all have to learn how to build community.
Yeah.
And, male, female, doesn't matter. We need community. We need people who, what comes to me is your tribe. You have to identify what tribe are you from, and no, stop trying to fit in into a tribe you don't belong. And we find, like, we still try to be with people that God has said they're no longer a part of this journey, or since we're talking about books, they're no longer a part of this chapter. And we want to bring them into the next chapter, and God's saying no, and then we wonder why there's a struggle. But when you find your tribe, one of the things you start to find is community and people who can help you and people who can encourage you in the process. And that to me is really important, because when you find your tribe, you know it. You can breathe, and they understand each breath.
Mm-hmm. She put her
Mm-hmm.
glasses on. Look, look.
Yeah, because because I had to bring myself back. I had to put them on. I had to bring
You
myself
went
back.
from Lady
That
Dawn to
y'all,
Mother Dawn. No.
right, right. Because I
Put the
felt myself
shades on.
going somewhere. I mean, you're talking about, listen, I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to hold my mule tonight, trying to hold my mule and act right. But it's so very true. When and you just saying about finding your tribe and you being able to breathe, and exhale. And I experienced that with you ladies. And that's why it hit me, like struck me hard. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me put my glasses on, try to change my posture a little something, because I'm about to, because there's nothing like finding your place. Like you said, we try to bring people along with us on the journey, or this part of the journey that are not meant to go with us the rest of the way. We try to sometimes spare people's feelings, and we sacrifice our own feelings, but we're really sabotaging both of our lives at that point, because we don't, I don't want to be nowhere I'm not supposed to be. I don't want to be in no space that God didn't put my name on. And I don't. I want everybody to find your circle, find your square, find your triangle, find your plus sign, whatever your symbol is. Find it. Get in the pocket that you belong. Because we can't move properly otherwise. Like you said, there's too many kinks in the chain when we're trying to force things that just don't fit.
And
And we have to learn how to. And the other week, the topic was breaking free to move forward. And I'm saying, when you're breaking, for a break is not easy. It's not painless. A break is elective. It's intentional. And that's what we have to do if we expect to move forward. And in building community and in building sisterhood, we've got to know, or family, male, female, or whoever, we got to know when it's time for us to move forward, to switch circles, to shift gears. The psalmist voice, He says, "Stop camping out at a shut door. Let's
Yeah.
go." Listen,
Yeah, because here's the thing: a circle will never fit in a square, and a square will never fit in a circle.
but people be
Why?
trying to
Because
cut them edges off, though.
But you,
yeah,
if
right. It still won't fit as it's supposed to go.
It
but I
ain't
think
smooth.
Right?
It ain't
if we
smooth.
can think about it,
I
a
think
lot
you
of
let me say
times,
something.
I'm sorry, we're actually kidnapping people. We're holding people hostage. We're kidnapping them. So we are, it's not a physical, but we are kidnapping you because I'm trying to take you somewhere you don't want to go.
Holding
So
emotionally
they're
hostage.
kicking and screaming, and yet we're saying, please, come on, come on. Here's the candy. We're trying to entice them to the next place that they don't want to go. So let's stop kidnapping people who don't want to go.
Because here, the truth of the matter is, everybody's not meant to go on your journey, and God would start to weed those people out. Right? What is it, the wheat and the tear? Right? Let's get the separation going. Because what I have for you and where I'm taking you, everybody can't come with you. Because if they do, guess what? It's not going to work out.
It's gonna be Abraham Lot situation, and don't nobody
Right.
want
And
that.
it's also like we said, Harlem Girls Inc., we're not going to be for everybody and everybody's not going to be for us, which is fine. But those who are assigned to our voice, they will be with us and we will be for them. Because without you, and everybody that trusted us, Mama Rose trusted us with their story, that's our tribe. And that's something we don't take lightly because you could have went anywhere else.
That's true. And Nate says that sacrifice is real sometimes. Yeah, yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. But that's the sacrifice is. It is real, but it's necessary and it's also beneficial. The thing about sacrifice is that it's only for a time. It's not forever.
And
You
I
Mhm.
know.
think, if I can just say, I think a part of it
Mhm.
is when you understand who you are. So, you can't have eagles and chickens don't hang out together, although they're both birds. So
Oh,
when
all
you
right.
understand God has taken you to a different level, you can't cluck when you're meant to soar. So when
Yeah.
you understand, and I think that's a part of it, it's uncomfortable when you're learning who you are. But once you understand who you are, you can really square your shoulders back, because it's not because you're so wonderful and you're so beautiful and so lovely. It's because you understand your purpose. You understand where God is taking you. And so, going back to Passion, you're not for everyone and everyone's not for you. And you have to be careful that you do not spend time in places and spaces that God has, going back, shut the door, right? When I understand, no, eagles get into the eye of the storm, spread their wings, and allows the storm to push them forward, where chickens cluck in the storm and just run around making a whole lot of noise. And again, we've all had roasted chicken, fried chicken, barbecue chicken, and no one's ever had eagle.
Right.
Come on, ma'am.
And even within that, like you're saying, self awareness, knowing who we are, knowing who's assigned to us in the journey that we're going on. And you said something about speaking to squaring our shoulders. Once you know who you are, you walk in that, right? And we're able to walk in that because of God's grace. We know where He's brought us from. So when you get to that point, you don't allow anybody to take you back down, because once you check your resume and check his resume, okay, I know I'm not supposed to be here, but his grace has carried me here, and I'm not going to allow you to take me back there, because if he says I'm worthy, I'm worthy. It doesn't matter what you think. And that's when you gain that confidence in him. Okay, yeah, I'm all that, but in a humble way. I'm
Mhm.
all that because my father said I'm all that. I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. And that's when we get that, okay, I'm gonna square my shoulders. Okay, God, if you call me to it, you're gonna lead me through it. All right, I got you. So absolutely.
This is so, so good. I promise you it is. Y'all like, subscribe, and share, please. And thank you, sir and ma'am. I tell you, it's so funny. God has a way of confirming, because just last night, the psalmist voice, Pastor Chris, and we shared space on a platform last night, sharing the word. And you talked about shutting the door, and that was the topic. that we had to speak on was about the shut the door. That there's a time and a place, and we get to this space in different intervals of life where we have to then shut the door on our past. Sometimes you got to shut the door on situations. You got to shut the door on certain people. You got to shut the door on your own mentality sometimes, because you have to go forward. You can't live in the past or what was. And like you said, as you learn yourself, and as you step into who you are, everything about you changes. Your taste changes, your desires change, your will change, your walk changes, how you talk changes, your company changes. You can't keep reaching back to the past. You gotta, go with what God is giving you in your forward. And in that, yeah, you gotta shut the door. I said I shut the door so hard I'd have moved from the Bronx to upstate. I just like that was a hard door shut. And I don't even think the door is there
Mhm.
anymore. Like I couldn't even go back if I wanted to. And the truth is, though, I miss some people and the detachments are difficult, but it's so worth it in becoming who I'm supposed to be.
And
Because
it's funny you
shutting
say
that
that. I'm
door,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
In my shutting that door, it made room in my life to have uh, the space to embrace you ladies, in this space and be all in, not wavering in my mind. Am I missing something? I don't miss a thing, because where I am now, I'm very full and life is very full. So, it's just confirming and encouraging for me. Go ahead, Pache.
No, I was piggybacking on what you said, and I'm glad you said it. Sometimes we have to shut the door on ourselves. Literally, like, no, you're crazy right now. No, you're not doing that right now. And the whole self-awareness in the book, Moving Forward from Broken to Beautiful, is a section I wrote about, talking about when I had to look in the mirror and really look at me and was like, oh, you jacked up. Oh, okay. All right. You really okay. And that's not an easy thing. That hurts. But in order to do the work, you have to confront you. You can't change what you don't confront. And no matter how painful it is, you got to dig it up and say, okay, to look for the better you, to get to the better you, and to get to what God has planned for you. So absolutely, it's like, oh, okay, like, I didn't know I was that crazy, but okay.
Ain't that
Look,
something when you find out how
okay,
deep it
I
really
just
runs?
it
look,
goes to,
I know I was that crazy, but all right,
It's
but
like,
I
thank
think
I
it
you,
goes
guess.
to the
Amen.
point that God has to isolate us to elevate us, right? You got to be able to spend time alone and really reflect on who am I and what am I doing? Most importantly, and how am I hurting myself? Right? Because we often say, I'm grown, I can do what I want to do, but really, I'm hurting me.
And I thought you was my sister. You gonna talk about me right now?
Yeah,
Right here?
in your face,
At least
though,
you're doing it in my face, though. At least you're doing it in my face. Go ahead. At least you're doing it
and
right here in my
Yeah,
and
but
face.
in
that's
love,
Go ahead.
in
but
love.
that's for all of us, and we have to then say, but then God has to isolate us so that we don't blame other people, because
Hmm.
that's human nature, right? If it wasn't for you, I would be.
Yeah.
No, we're going to be, even when we reflect on childhood or past experiences and we say it's somebody else's fault, we will be adults longer than we were children. So again, it goes back to, I'm responsible. I may not be responsible for the hurt, but I'm responsible for the recovery.
Hmm.
And when I accept that, then I can help other people. And most importantly, it goes back to that whole thing with the airplane. I can put the mask on myself first before I assist someone else. So I have to do my healing. I have to do my work. I have to realize that I am worthy to be healed. Period.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I am
And then
worthy to
even
be
in
healed.
that healing process, and you said looking back, and it's easy for us to blame other people. Yes, it could have been past hurt stuff growing up, but in that process of doing your own work and becoming who you are, I think we also have to release people from who they were,
Mm.
right? Because given the times or whatever they were going through, we have to release people from who they were. Because I don't think anybody intentionally set, well, family members and for the most part, intentionally sets out to say, hey, I'm going to hurt you. It's like a conversation we were having the other day. We were on the phone and we were just talking about parenting. We was like, yeah, no parent gets pregnant, be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to jack you up when you come out. Nobody thinks that, right? So like, yo, when I have you, I'm going to totally screw your whole entire life up. Wait, what? What are we talking about right now?
Yeah, who does that?
Nobody
What
thinks
we
that.
doing?
But so I think we have to release people from the pain that they cause because I don't think it was done intentionally. And once we give them that release and not hold them, we let them out of prison, we let ourselves out as well. Because now we can't keep placing the blame because what happened, remember when. Okay, we like 60 now. Like we like 40 years removed. What are we talking about right now? And like Dr. Sanders said, now it's becoming responsible for your own recovery, your own healing. But within that recovery is part of letting people go, letting people out of jail, letting people out of the prison system that you have held them hostage to. Let them come out for a meal. You don't got to leave them in solitary anymore. Just let them come on out. It's all right. But that's part of your recovery because now it's like, I forgive.
Right. I don't give you a
I,
life sentence. And that's what it is.
right.
I didn't
Yeah, I
sentence you to
forgive.
life for something that happened in the past, because what if someone sentenced us to life for what we've done? So it's like, to whom much is given, much is required. We have to learn to forgive. You don't forget, but you learn how to forgive and say, you
Mm-hmm.
know what did I learn, or what was the thing that helped me in this? Because if this didn't happen, I would not have been able to do this.
And let me tell you, what you just said is mind blowing because once I learned that and I started looking at everything as a lesson, what do you want, God? What do you want me to get out of this? What's my lesson in this? Okay, the person did do X, Y, and Z, but what did you take away from it? Because I'm not responsible for people, I'm responsible for me.
Mm.
I'm not accountable for people, I'm accountable for me. So in every lesson, once I learned it, I'm like, okay, what's the lesson? Now it may not be I want to be in that lesson at that time, but there's a lesson.
Yeah.
But that totally helped me pivot my entire life. And it also helps people, I don't say people, it also helps to stop blaming and placing the blame somewhere else. So and so did. So, okay, what part did you play in it? And what's the lesson you can take away from it?
And truthfully, before I read some of the comments, um, I found in my own, uh, I was the biggest contributor to my situations because, and it's not 50-50. Mine, I like to say it's 80-20. And the 80 was me and the 20 was you. And
Right.
it's because, yeah, it was what it was. Listen, I'll just be honest. I'm like, it is what it is. I say I take the 80 because I allowed whatever I allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I invited some things in. Matter of fact, I went and looked for some things to bring in.
Mm-hmm.
So, like that's why it's 80% me. And guess what? And then when you got here, I allowed stuff to stay, I allowed stuff to simmer, I allowed stuff to remain. I fed
Mm-hmm.
the situation, I indulged in it. And it's just, so we have to be accountable. And when I realized that measure, that was helpful to me in my mirror moment in getting to my healing and getting back to like, girl, you better get yourself back on your square. Like nobody knocked you off. They may have pushed you over the line, but you completely jumped
Mm-hmm.
out the daggone box, Dawn. Just like,
Right.
what is wrong with you? This is such great conversation. Welcome everybody. For those who are in the listening lounge, in the quiet spaces, we see you, we hear you. Come on down in the comment section. We are on tonight talking with the co-founders of Harlem Girls Inc., the greatest writing group publishing company ever on this side of heaven. Yes, I am totally biased and I'm not ashamed to say so. Sorry, not sorry. Yes, these are the ladies who encourage me, who I write with, and who are my writing mentors in this publishing street. These streets. We're going to tell you how to connect with them. The psalmist voice, Pastor Chris says, it's okay to know everything that you are. I never was one to embrace what others see. Corey Hunter says, Isolate to elevate, almost like being a slingshot, having to pull back in order to go forward. You sisters are speaking good. Psalm's voice comes back and says, you are a bigger man and woman when you can realize in the broken pieces, you can still be made whole. I'm done.
Done.
You ladies are getting me started. He says his Shana is lit on tonight. Y'all done started the preacher. He's a preaching preacher, okay? Don't take much for him. And again, y'all will learn his voice. He's going to be one of the panelists in the men's lounge that'll be coming on to
Okay.
share his space and perspective. So thank you. Pastor Rosa, Mama Rosa says some victims of another person's illness feel they are responsible for the attack. So it's hard for them to want to be healed. Corey Hunter says that's good. Looking at situations and circumstances as a lesson. I wanted to make sure that we got the comments in. And I just want to read off some of the names of the books that we have published as well. It started with their first book, which was Letting Go, Moving from Broken to Beautiful. Then it was Bonds and Breaks of Sisterhood. Then it
That's when you
was,
jumped in.
this was, hey, listen, tag me in. Once I got tagged in, like it's one way in and no way out.
That's right.
I'm from the Bronx, but I'm a Harlem girl for life. Don't play with me. And then we have Loving You Is Hurting Me. Woo, that one.
Mm,
That,
baby,
yeah, that one right there, baby.
we
Yeah,
spilled some
yeah.
tea.
Look, I think we need to do a part 2 on that. How where they
We
at
spilled
now?
some tea.
Like, Loving You Is Hurting Me.
Now
Where
where
they
they
at
at
now?
now?
That was
That's
good. That was it. That book cleansed my whole soul. I promise you, it did. Um, and then we had Stepping Into My Purpose, um, which I think was my favorite book because it just hit at the proper time for me. And it was the first book that I actually was published in as a poet. So it was just very pivotal, very momentous for me. Then we had Doing It Afraid. Then we had Boss Built. That's also I'm partial to that one because our book release was on my birthday.
yes,
So I was feeling very celebratory as if we had a whole book launch just for me.
yes, we did.
Right. Yes, you did. It felt good. I was like, I turned 53. This is my third book, and it was just, I was just making it more than what I won't say I was making it more than what it was, but I was real happy. I really was. And then we have
the photos to prove it.
right.
Yes, we do.
There is proof, right? There is footage. Listen,
Yes.
I was so happy for life, and it was so it really was a life a moment marker in my life to be able to hit 53, and the way I saw life before Harlem Girls. um Harlem Girls gave me my voice back. It allowed me to put my voice back to paper. It did. And people
Wow.
get, I know yelling like I'm crazy now. I know Pastor too.
Wow.
Because, and I say this because I know I preach and I sing and I pray and I speak in certain places and certain things. And on my job, I'm, supervisor, all of those things. But those things were not, on one hand, I want to say that was not my voice, um, the emotion that's within me that I'm able to express. Those platforms did not give me this. When I'm preaching the word of God, it's what God says. I'm relaying the message. When I'm singing or I'm ministering, again, it's a song that I'm singing that is relative to a moment that is meant to minister to someone else. But when it comes to Dawn's voice, outside of the titles and the spaces and the expectations, that was missing for time. So Harlem Girls gave me that space to put my voice back out, to redefine my voice and find it, and that's why I say it was so special to me because That was a place and a point I never thought that I would be. I never saw myself having any kind of a book launch, more or less with an amazing group of women, more or less being 53, making it through being a single mom and, half educated and still doing, all these. And I say half educated because I didn't finish school yet, but it's in the works. That's what I mean. I've been to seminar, but just those things, made such a difference. And that's why I love the culture of Harlem Girls. I say we are a living, breathing organism. We're not an organization because we are forever evolving. So Boss Built was another great moment for me. And then we had me and my poetic partner, Antoinette Sanders, still standing. We got together 6 months after Boss Built, and we put together a whole poetry book, spoken word, soul poetry, matters of the heart, where we just dealing with all the issues of the heart in poetic form. And then you also had, and this was the tough one, letters to my mom,
Letters to my mom.
which was amazing to put out. So many books that have been published by this amazing group of women. And again, men are invited as well to come share and tell your story, be a part. But I want to ask you, ladies, I know the time is drawing near. I want to ask you, ladies, out of all the books that have been written, which one, if you had to say, was your favorite? Which one, if you had to say one was your favorite, or which one means the most to you, which one would it be and why? I'm gonna start with Elaine, Dr. Elaine, because she's laughing.
The one that means the most to me is Letters to My Mom. Anyone who knows me knows my mother was my best friend. And when she passed away, I didn't just lose my mother, I lost my best friend. And for her not to be able to share in some of the successes that I've had since she has transitioned was like, man, I just want to spoil her. I just wanted to give back because who I am is because of her. I mean, both of my parents, but my mom really, she showed me quiet strength that I can walk in a room. I don't have to be loud. But I'm still present. So that would be it was my favorite and a hard book because it was just from a different place. I think if I had to say, stepping into my purpose, because I was evolving into the next level of me in that book. And I know you said two, but letting go from broken to beautiful,
Yeah.
because I had to come out of that hard space. So if I actually said them backwards, but I think that first book was allowing me to be vulnerable, and then stepping into my purpose was like, kind of like, yes, look at this, God. Thank you, God. I'm at this other place where I can smile again.
That
So,
is amazing. Is that the place where I know in conversation and in some of the book launches that we've been to, you mentioned, or it might have been in personal conversation, but I think no, you said it openly, about you realizing that you're a midwife. You know, is that the place where that transition, that acknowledgement happened for you, like it all came together, that you realized that's who you are and what you do?
I think I've always been that. I've always been someone, like I said, I'm an extension of my mom. That was her. She's always would encourage me. You can do it. You can do it. And so what's in you comes out of you. So when I come around people, I'm always like, you can do it. You can do it. It's what I know. And she used to say this saying to me, keep the faith and keep believing. And it meant whatever you believe, if you keep the faith and trust God, it will manifest, but you have to put the work in with it. So being a midwife for me, in the spiritual or in the natural, I'm always rooting for someone to be better and greater. So I always see myself as the mentor, the teacher, and I want the student to be greater.
That is so good. That is so good. I've never forgotten that. All right, Coach Pache, if you had to say your favorite of all the books, or put them in order if you like, just as Dr. Elaine did,
Okay,
as to which one would be
okay.
yours.
I put three in order.
Hmm.
The first, I would say the first book, Letting Go, Moving Forward from Broken to Beautiful. That was more therapeutic. I was able to let go of a lot of things, even the things I caused myself. So that gave me the courage and the strength to continue writing and saying, "Oh, it's okay. Let it go. Just keep going. It's all right." Um, I would say Doing It Afraid, because that gave me an opportunity to talk about my all the fears I had as a single mom at 19. And stuff was coming back to me. I was like, "Oh wow, I forgot about that. Oh wow, I forgot about. Oh Jesus, wow." And that and goes back to that grace, that carrying, right? Because in life we just do and we don't stop and really reflect on all that we have accomplished, all we have come through. And then behind that, I would say stepping into my purpose. Because for me, I didn't know what my purpose was till later on into life.
Hmm.
And my sister helped, like, "No, you can do it." She would tell, "No, Coco, go ahead." Like, and I'm like, no, go ahead. You got this. And it's that thing where people see things in you you don't see in yourself.
I was the
Yeah.
midwife.
Absolutely. And still are. So it's that thing, when people see things in you that you don't see in yourself. So learning after becoming and going to school and not even talking about the titles and what I've accomplished in school, really talking about me stepping into my purpose. Now I know what my purpose is. Now I know what God has me here to do. Now I'm not lost in Egypt trying to figure it out. Now I'm not at the Tower of Babel talking some craziness with the other people trying to figure out my entire life. Now it's like, no, I know what my purpose is. I know what my mission in life is. Okay, I got it. I got it now. And it goes back to what Dr. Sanders said, squaring up your shoulders. Now I know who I am. I'm sure of who I am. I'm self aware of who I am, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes I tell myself, go sit down. Girl, you bugging out. Go. I put myself on a timeout. I ain't going to even lie. I'll be like, go sit down because you're bugging right now. Go on in there. So I say that you say the good, the bad, and the ugly. But before it was more so, not me. Who, me? Oh, no. It's not, I don't have a problem. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Girl, you're crazy. You're crazy. And so now I know my
You're not.
crazy. I know my pitfalls. I know what makes me tick. I know my triggers. And then now I can have those talks like, we're not gonna do this right now. Let me
Yeah.
put some Jesus music on. I'll go take a time out. I'll go say a prayer. So self-awareness is key. I just know me. So I would say in that order, letting go from broken to beautiful, doing it afraid, and stepping into my purpose.
That is awesome. I love it. I love you, ladies. I tell you, um, I love the fact that stepping into our purpose seems to be the central book for all of us because that is, again, that has to be like my favorite for the same reason. Again, it was the first one that I published, poetry in, but it was an awesome space for me to be like, hey, I actually do know my purpose. I questioned it,
Mm-hmm.
because people outside people can see so many other things in you. So this person sees this in you, and that person sees that in you, and this person sees that in you, but they're all seeing the pieces of me that they need, and not
Mm-hmm.
seeing the totality of Dawn. And so I had to
Mm-hmm.
stop choosing which part of me to be and embrace
Mm-hmm.
all of me. So it's like, hey, okay, and I became whole in that. And I'm like, now I know, and I know what I'm here to do. So,
Yep.
I love that fact. And thank you, ladies, for sharing. I hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation on tonight. I'm so grateful that the co-founders, my girls, my ladies, my sisters, the Harlem Girl Inc. co-founders came on tonight to wrap up this amazing month of November with me here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. I do want to ask you ladies to share your info. How can people now? I know this, and I'll tell everybody, even if you're not a writer. I'm just like
The
just
banner's there.
come on. Oh, there we go. Yes, the information is here. If you are interested in any of these books that we mentioned on tonight, we have a website. You can go on, you can order. If you have questions, if you have a book in you or you have a desire to write in you, maybe you don't want to do it all by yourself. There are amazing collaborative opportunities that come up within Harlem Girls that you can be a part of, and maybe you have a book idea and don't know how to get it out. These ladies are the ones who you can trust to walk you through the process and get you to where you need to be. I want to leave space for final comments from each one of you before I give you a special gift from me to you. So, Dr. Elaine, what would you like to share your final comments on tonight?
The final comments I would share would be when you know your purpose, it allows you not to settle. So I think walking in who you're supposed to be puts you in such a great space and place that you're comfortable in those moments of isolation, that you're alone but not lonely.
Mm, come on here, preacher. All right, coach. Well, what would be your final comments to the people on tonight?
Very simple. Walk in your God-given authority. Just walk it out. Even when negative voices come, know who he has called you to be. And remember, he's covering you, right? So
Don't
just walk in your God-given authority. That's it.
she gonna take it back. Tell you to the two of y'all. I'm telling you, your juice and your towel and your offerings are gonna be outside in front of us in about 10 minutes. Okay. I'm gonna send
10
Amazon.
minutes? Okay.
Amazon Prime is gonna be delivering it for you tonight. As always, it is a blessing and honor and a privilege. And I thank you all for sharing this time with me on tonight and with us. I appreciate each of you in such a special way. You are near and dear to my heart, and I'm so glad that God knit you both into the fabric of my life, along with the rest of the Harlem Girls. And I look forward to the growth that is happening, not just in us, but through us, that God is using. And my final comment before we wrap it up is, or before we end it, I wanted to give this to you ladies before at our book launch. Life was life, and it really was hard that day. But this is something that I wrote specifically for Harlem Girls, and I dedicate it to you both. And you both will be getting your own copy in its own beautiful frame for you to have forever and a day, because I feel you need to have something that lets you know that you can see all your work in one space and to know that your voices are heard and valuable. So, this is tribute to Harlem Girls, written by me. Through this journey of life, we encounter many things, ups and downs, ebbs and flows. We try to salvage relationships, but there are some we must learn how to let go so we can begin moving from broken and relocate to our beautiful. And there we experience bonds and breaks of sisterhood. These moments build our foundation, show us how much we can stand, get up, how much we can stand, get up, turning into the right direction, and teach us how bold our. I'm sorry, I'm messing up because my nerves is bad and it's making me emotional. So I'm gonna start
It's
over.
all good.
Through this journey of life, we encounter many things up and down, ebbs and flows. We try to salvage relationships, but there are some that we must learn to let go so we can begin to move from our broken and relocate to our beautiful place. And there we experience the bonds and breaks of sisterhood, those moments that build our foundation, show us how much we can stand, get up, turning into the right direction, and teach us how we can hold our own hand. So when we encounter the places we never thought we would be, You know the times when we have to tell others goodbye because loving you is hurting me. And once I let go of the things that were hindering me, I am free to step into my purpose, clear and unashamed. And even when I'm not sure of my next step, I'm still taking them. I'm just doing it afraid. I'm conquering my fear. I'm taking what belongs to me. I'm sitting at the right tables, even the ones that some say I shouldn't be. By the grace of God, He set me place just for me because I'm boss Bill. Yeah, that's me. And now I can rest in my sacred place, my soft space, and attend to the matters of my heart. And when I emerge from my sanctuary as a Harlem girl, I'm ready and equipped to conquer the world. This is my tribute to you, ladies, using
Thank you.
all of the titles of the books that have been written. I want to thank you for opening up your
That's
heart, your lives, and your
amazing.
spaces to us. And thank you for your embrace of me.
That
So
was beautiful. Thank
Thank
you.
you. That was
I was
amazing.
so
Thank
emotional, I was getting
you.
choked up. I couldn't see.
That
Had to start over.
that's amazing.
But each of you will
Appreciate
be.
you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. I love y'all. But you'll be getting your own copies so that you can have it for the rest of your life. The tribute to Harlem Girls.
Yes.
So, bravo with Sheila family. Thank you so much. It's been another great night, another great Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B. I'm going to ask that you join us again every Thursday night. December is going to be a great month. Next week, we're going to have the Redeeming Me series where I'm going to be on talking about ending on top. Since we are wrapping up the year, we're going to talk about ending on top. Save the date, December 14th. You do not want to miss this show because this is the verses. We're going to have the women of the ladies' room coming up against the men of the men's lounge, and we're going to chop it up and talk about men and women's issues. We're going to hear each other's side. It's going to be insane. I'm putting a disclaimer out. I'm not responsible for whatever's going to happen that night. I'm just here hosting and putting my 2 cents in. But if you're going to come any night, come that night because we have ND Brown coming. We have Deshaun Bill coming. We have myself. We have Antoinette Sanders. We have my brother, Minister Donald, Pastor Bill. We got the psalmist voice, Pastor Chris. And we have my good Canadian Jamaican brother, Gregory Bloomfield. I'm telling you, it's gonna be we talking men and women's issues on head to head. Then on the 21st, we're gonna talk about growing through grief because while we may be celebrating, there are some people that even if they're in the midst of others, everything is still not
Mhm.
happy. But we want to be able to encourage, inspire, and support those who may be going through. So we want to talk about how we grow through our grief. And then the last Thursday of the month, we just gonna celebrate. We're gonna celebrate. Maybe we take a stroll back through the year. I don't know. But just come prepared to party. So as always, I thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, and share. Help us grow this channel and share this information. Don't forget to tune in. If you need a little bit of spiritual enlightenment or a little boost in the word, go right across the street to the Sing Sheila Ingram Ministry channel. There's always something good going on over there. I promise you, it's directly across the street. Just walk along, just you straight. You fine. You can't miss it. So with that being said, guys, I love you all. Bless you. Be encouraged. Love to all. Thank you, Thomas Boyce. Thank you, Anae, Vaughn, Eric, Corey Hunter, everyone in the comment section. Mama Rosa. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.